So here we are at Van Cortlandt Park, and I thought we should take a look at the little house that's been standing here for several hundred years. Maybe it's Van Cortlandt Manor, I don't know the name of it. It's got dormer windows. It's got a slate roof, because slate is easy to split. And it looks like, to me, it's got a combination of maybe schist and gneiss as the building stone. And then you'll notice the schist and gneiss goes up to the edge of the window, and then they framed it in wood, and then at the top they put a little bit of brick, because hard to create that nice smooth finish that you need to set a window into a building. Then the incongruous major general porter, the adjutant general of New York. Why the hell he gets a sculpture here, I don't know. I mean, he's not a Confederate, but you kind of wonder, do we really need him? All right, Van Cortlandt Manor up here in Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx. Well, I have to say, oops, because I missed a good portion of the building. Here is the true Van Cortlandt Manor, which maybe I can get to the other side of. And I thought I remembered that it was a schisty, gneiss-y, blocky building, and that in the original house, which is much grander than this little thing in the back, which may be later actually, but in the main house here, you see the way they had to brick around the windows all the way 360, all sides. That's not really 360, but just on all four sides, because this friable schist or gneiss just doesn't square off well. So this would be your Van Cortlandt Manor, and maybe we can get to the other side. I don't know, I don't see how, but maybe, and get a picture from the front. I mean, we know there's COVID and all, but this is a little sad actually. So we're now actually in the grand front of the Van Cortlandt house in Van Cortlandt Park. And this would have been a garden that in its prime clearly would have been well maintained. Coming up these steps and then through this gate, which all looks relatively new actually. It says it's 1916, but in some period of history it probably was a similar gate here. And then up to the house. And the house, you know, is pretty grand actually, now that we can get to the front of it, but it's in pretty bad shape. From the fence, which is oxidizing away, to the window frames around the windows, which need a paint job, and the apron at the base of the roof, which needs a paint job, and in general disrepair. So you'd think this wouldn't be that difficult to raise money for in our era of gracious philanthropy, but who knows. Van Cortlandt House, Van Cortlandt Park, 2020. I'm up here in Yonkers, and I haven't really seen an outcrop of FORDHAM gneiss just based on where I rode. I could have probably ridden somewhere, but I'm by a garden center, and they have some nice big chunks of gneiss. This is your FORDHAM gneiss, which is different than your Manhattan schist. Certainly got mica in it, but much more banded. And I would say it's more massive in probably the forms it makes. And let's just get in here a little closer. So the banding is really much more pronounced as opposed to the simple foliation of the schist. But here we see alternating layers which could be biotite mica, feldspar, quartz. In this case, I don't see any sign of garnet, I often say that. But we do see signs of oxidation. And here we are at this lovely garden center. I'm on my way up a hill, so I caught myself a break here. And let's go back up to the lines of power that keep us happy. We're still up north in the Bronx. We're gonna come down and look at this big wall, which I think is mostly gneiss. Retaining wall, just south of Yonkers. And then this is your actual FORDHAM gneiss. But there's some interesting things about it. One, you can see the distorted layers in the top area, but then you got this dark inclusion, which is like almost more like a schist, or is it amphibolite, that's sitting in the gneiss. And here you get some really nice or beautiful to look at distortion. Again, looks like in this section the dark bit is mostly biotite mica. I'm not seeing any signs of garnet, but let's pan up along the formation and just see how it is trending. If we go down a little bit here, where there I guess used to be a tree, we can see this quite amazing vein of probably quartz with maybe more highly concentrated mica inside. And then this looks mostly like, almost like a schist here, but it's part of the FORDHAM gneiss. So, and then that other piece of rock right in the middle there, which looks feldsparish. So all in all, FORDHAM gneiss up here on the border of the Bronx and Yonkers. Sky view on Hudson. Beware. And there's the SAR High School, which I think was the center of COVID in New York, where it all started. Look at that. And some more banded gneiss. You can see there's a bit on the bottom there that's actually folded over, and that looks like it's probably, you know, got some feldspar in it. And you can see some really nice distortion as you move to the left on the bottom. I'll zoom in to get a look at that. Here we see some of the banded gneiss, and then moving to the left, you can see how it's distorted. And again, this is Proterozoic, going back about 1.1 billion years, unlike the schist in Manhattan. And we're at a little spot called Riverdale Park, to the west of the Henry Hudson Parkway in the high rent district of Riverdale. I just thought I'd give you this Riverdale Episcopal Church, which looks to me like a schist, and then with brownstone detailing. Oh, the window frame is brownstone, and these bands, horizontals, are brownstone, and it looks to me like a slate roof with some pretty little windows. And like all these religious institutions, this is pretty quietly closed up until they say they can come back in, and we will end in their bed of salvia.